Hello everyone and welcome to Tech with NK. In today's video, we're going to go through data aggregation and grouping. Data aggregation and grouping allows us to extract meaningful summaries and insights from our data. And to see how all this works, we're going to go through setting up our environment to ensure we have all the right libraries installed. Then we're going to talk about basic aggregation, grouping data, and end with custom aggregation. And by the end of this video, you'll know how to analyze trends, extract summaries, and gain valuable insights from your datasets. So if you're ready, let's dive right into it. So for our setup, all we need is to import pandas, numpy, and Seaborn. That's PD, NP, and SNS because we intend to use the tips dataset from the Seaborn library. And if you do not have any of these libraries installed, you can do so with a simple pip command. So here I'm going to run this code cell. We have all our libraries imported, and then I'm going to run this other code cell to load our data. And that will be Shift Enter. And we can see the first 5 rows of our data set with the columns total bill, tip, sex, smoker, day, time, and size. And as we recall, the tips dataset reflects data from a restaurant, where the total bill reflects the bill of a customer, the tip the customer left, the sex, be it male or female, smoker, be it smokers or non-smokers, the days of the week where the restaurant was open, in this case, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, the time, was it dinner or lunch, and the table size, were it 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6 people. And with this done, we're going to move on to basic aggregation. And what you need to know is aggregation summarizes data by applying function on arrays or array-like data that return scalars. And some examples of these functions are sum, mean, count, we have like standard deviation, and so many more. So the first example here is we're going to see how to calculate the total tips. And the aim here is to get the total sum of the tip column. And to do that, all we need to do is to call the function sum on this column tip. And to access this column, we're going to run tips in square brackets. We're going to pass the feature name, which is tip, and we're going to call the function sum. And now if I run this code cell, we have our total tips, which is $731.57999. And one more example, we can calculate the average bill. All we need to do is to access that column. So that will be tips in square brackets. We're going to access the total bill feature, and we're going to call the mean function, which returns the average. And if I run this, we have our scalar, which is 19.75, applied on the array-like parameter, which is the column total bill. And this tells us that the average bill on the whole data set is $19.78. And with this, you have a basic idea of data aggregation. The next thing we're going to look at is data grouping. And what you need to know is grouping organizes data in categories and performs operations on each of these groups to enable us to obtain meaningful insights or trends from our data set. And the first thing we're going to do here is we're going to group our data. And in this case, we're going to group our data by days. I'm going to create a variable here. I'm going to call this group, and I'm going to set this to enable us group our data. We're going to use the groupby function. So this will look like tips.groupby, and in parentheses, I'm going to pass the feature which we want to use to group our data, and this will be day. And also, I'm going to set the observe parameter to false. And when I run this code cell, our data has been grouped by day, and the return value from the groupby function will be saved in the variable grouped. And now, what if we want to visualize this and have an idea of what this group looks like? Let's try to do that in this other code cell here. So if I try to run grouped to see what is going to happen here, we see that our return value here is an object, specifically a groupby object, and we cannot actually see our data like in a tabular format like we had here. But one way to do that is we can convert this groupby object here into a list, and that will help us have a better visualization. So we're going to call the list function here, open and close parentheses, And now if I run this code cell, we have a better view of our data. I'm going to click here to view this as a scrollable element, and if I scroll to the top, now we can see our data in a table-like format, and we have the first key here, which is Thursday, the first day, because remember I said the days here are Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And so with groupby, we're able to separate our data into these various days. And as we can see, our data has been separated, and all of these tables represent the sales for Thursday. The next table represents the sales for Friday. You can see here the day, all of these days, Friday. The next table represents the sales for Saturday, and the last table, the sales for Sunday. And you can picture this maybe like a dictionary with the key here Sunday and its value this tabular data here, or maybe a data frame with the index Sunday, Saturday, Friday, and Thursday with these features. And now we have an idea of what our data looks like when it has been grouped by days. So the next thing we want to see here is how to apply basic aggregation on these groups. For our first example, we're going to look at how to obtain the total tips per day. Remember that in one of the cells above, we're able to obtain the total tips on the whole dataset, but now we want to visualize this per the days. So to do that, we're going to run groups. In square brackets, we're going to access that feature, which will be tips, and we're going to call the function sum, open and close parentheses. And now if I run this code cell, oh, the column tips does not exist. This should be tip and not tips. If I remove that S, and when I run this again, we see our data has been separated by days. And now we can tell the total tip on Thursday, the total tip for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And with this, we're able to see that people tip the most on Saturday, followed by Sunday. Then we have Thursday, and the last Friday. And we can do the same thing with the average bill to obtain the average bill per day. All we need to run is groups. We're going to access the feature, which will be total bill, total underscore bill, and we're going to call the mean function like we did before. Mean, open and close parentheses, and we now run that. We see our average bill has been separated per the days, and we can see the average bill on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And with this, we're able to see that though people tip more on Saturdays, on average, they spend more on Sundays. And we can play around with this using different functions to try to extract more meaningful data from our dataset. And one more thing I want us to look at is how to apply multiple aggregation on groups. And so instead of applying like the sum and the main function here individually, we can apply all of these functions at once. And the syntax for this is very easy. The first thing is we're going to call our variable groups, and we're going to apply the aggregation function, which is AGG. And in this function, we're going to pass a dictionary. And in this dictionary, the first thing is we're going to access the features which we want to apply functions on. The first feature, like we saw before, was a tip. So we're going to pass a tip as a key. And the function we want to apply on it, we're going to pass as a value. And like we saw up here, we're going to pass the sum as a string. So that will be sum to represent the function. And the next feature we want to observe here will be the total bill, like we saw before. I'll pass it as a key. And the function we're going to pass as a value, which will be the mean function. Now, if I run this code cell, we have our result as a table with the days as the indices and the tip and total bill as our features. In this case, the total tip per day and the average bill per day. So using this aggregate method, we're able to apply multiple functions on our dataset. And one more thing I want to show you here is we can actually apply multiple functions on a single feature. For example, let's say we want to apply the sum and also get the average tip per day. What to do is we need to pass the multiple functions as a list. So I'm going to open square brackets here. I'm going to remove this here, comma, and the next function I'm going to pass here will be the mean. And then I'm going to close the square bracket. And if I run this code cell now, we'll have a little error here. Okay, I forgot to enter the last comma here. If I run this again, now we have our results. We can see the tip and total bill here, and we can also tell the functions that were applied on them. And we see that this feature here tells us the total tip per day, and these other features here tells us the average tip per day, and this one tells us the average bill per day. And we can go on because there's a lot we can do with the aggregate function. But one last thing I want us to see before we end this video is how to apply custom functions using this aggregate method. Because like we just saw here, the sum, the mean, or the standard deviation, all those are predefined functions that come with these libraries. However, we can use our own user-defined functions to apply on our dataset in case we want something more specific. And for example here, we're going to define and apply our range function on our dataset. So the first thing we need to do is to define our function. So I'm going to use the def keyword here. I'm going to call this function range underscore agg for aggregate, and I'm going to pass a parameter here called for the features on which we're going to run this function on top. And all that this function does is to return colon.max, the maximum value in that column, minus colon.min, the minimum value in that column, which is pretty much what a range is, the difference between the biggest value and the smallest value. And now to apply this function on our grouped data, the syntax is the same like what we've been seeing, group.aggregate, and in parentheses we're going to pass a dictionary for the feature we want to use in this case and the function we want to apply on it. For our example, we want to access a total bill column, bill, and the function we're going to pass on it is a function we just defined, which is range underscore agg. And if I run this code cell, we're able to obtain the range per day for Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And with this, we've come to the end of our video. We've gone through basic aggregation, data grouping, and custom aggregation. And these tools will definitely help you extract more meaningful insights and trends as you explore your datasets. I want to believe I tried to make the content as easy as possible. However, if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comment section below and I'll be more than pleased to answer you. If you enjoyed the video, do well to hit the like and subscribe buttons, and I look forward to seeing you in my upcoming videos. That said, have a good day.